Hey guys, welcome back to Home Built, and this week we are back working on the Frankenhauler. All right, guys, welcome back. And if you were watching last week, you will have seen that I sort of finished off welding up the ram mounts and getting the entire tilt frame in its current state, painted and mounted the winch. If you missed it, I'll put a link up above so you can catch up. Do the things like subscribe, comment, all that sort of stuff, particularly comments. It really does help out that crazy algorithm. There were a couple of people who were mentioning triangulating the frame up the top for reinforcing the winch. That is coming. It's something I wanted to do, but I needed to get everything in place first to see what size and area I have to work with up there. So that will be something I'll work with later. But there was one comment in particular that sparked my interest. If you've been watching the last few weeks, you'll have seen that every time I raise and particularly lower this ram, it goes down really, really slow. And somebody said, oh, maybe there is a valve somewhere that actually can change the rate of descent. And that got me thinking, there is something on the side, so let's go and have a look at it and see if I can actually adjust it so that I can get it to lower at the correct rate.
So I found on the side of the pump this little adjustable screw thread, and at first I thought this was going to help my situation, but later I found out what it was really for.
All right, well, I found that there is this adjuster on the side. It kind of sort of felt like it went down a little bit quicker, but didn't really seem to make a whole heap of difference. It'll definitely be better once we get some more weight on it. As I said, at the moment, it's still very, very light for a 10-ton ram. So once we get the tray and everything else on it, fingers crossed, it's at least a bit heavier. And yeah, when it's got a car on it, obviously it's going to go down much faster again. All right, well, I think it's time to actually get the truck out. I'm going to leave the tray for a little bit. Let's have a look at the front. All right, so for the moment, let's forget about the back of the truck. I want to have a little bit of a break from that, and I want to come back to the front of the Frankenhauler. Now, as you can see, this is the nose, and if you were following along, you know that this is actually painted. There is some real patina here, some faux patina that I've matched in, and this is how it's going to stay. But you can see there's some big holes left here in the bonnet because originally there was a bonnet badge on the Frankenhauler. I really want to have my own badge for this, but it's an odd shape. And to make a badge that fits would be something that would be troublesome. And that is where Revopoint actually sent me out one of their 3D scanners. So this is the Metro X 3D scanner, and I'm going to give it a go today on scanning the front of the bonnet here so that I can make a badge that will fit perfectly with the Frankenhauler. So this is a really nice kit, comes in this really nice case. We have the scanner itself. Down under here, there's actually a tripod, so you can set it up inside this case, sort of sit it on here and set it up and scan things, particularly if you want to use the little turntable. For smaller things, you can actually set this up and actually have the turntable that will spin the object, and you can sort of scan it to get a good 360 scan. That is not something I'm going to use today because obviously the Frankenhauler is a little large for that. Now, I've just been playing through and having a look at the tutorials and stuff that come with the scanner, and there's a few different types of scans. So there's marker scans and feature scans, and because of the Frankenhauler is a little bit glossy and doesn't have a whole heap of features, I think I want to use markers, and that's actually where they set me up with this marker block kit, which I think could probably be a really good way to go. So I'm sure a lot of you have seen 3D scanners before and how people put these little stickers over everything, but they're a real pain to put on heaps of these little stickers and then peel them all off afterwards. But that is where I like this kit. This kit is a marker block kit. So it comes with a whole bunch of these little balls that have got a magnet on them that I can just stick on. They've got like triangular ones, and there's also these sort of dome ones. There's a whole bunch of different types of markers, and I think this would be the perfect option to be able to try and scan the badge area of Frank. So let's stick some on and see how we go. So basically what it's saying is it would like to be able to see 5 dots in every area of its sweep. So trying to get them relatively close together is good. In this case, I'm trying to keep them out of where I actually want to put the badge, because obviously it's going to scan these blocks as well, and I can remove them later in the software, but it'd be nice to scan as much of this as possible. So I've put them around where I want to go, and I'm going to see now if I can get the scanner to scan what I am looking for.
So this was pretty easy to set up, and I found that the parallel lines type of scan seemed to work the best for this, and it's just making sure you get the distances and stuff correct by watching your image on the screen.
All right, so now I have my basic shape here. You can see that I've got those balls that are still sort of floating around there, and there's extra stuff here that I don't need. Let's detect all the extra bits.
And we can just press delete.
Well, let's go through and let's fill some holes.
And then the software can select the holes and nicely smooth them out.
So let's also get rid of some extra bits.
And by tidying this image up now, makes it much easier when we take it into CAD.
So you can see that is now a 3D shape of the front of the Frankenhauler that I can now take into my CAD software and do a bit of design and see if we can make a badge for the truck. So having access to a scanner like this Revo Metro X3D is just such a game changer. At home, we can do so much more. The scope has changed so dramatically with combination of something like this, some CAD software, 3D printers. There are plenty of places you can just send your information and get somebody else to design something up for you. So even if you can't use CAD, you can get someone else to do it. Having something like this at home means that you can give digital information to someone on the other side of the world, and they'll be able to do things for you. So I definitely think something like this is a fantastic addition to home fabrication setup these days. Head over to the link in the description. I've got a link to the Revopoint Metro X 3D scanner. Like always, help out the guys that help out the channel. Thank you very much to Revopoint. All right, let's get into doing some CAD and let's see if we can come up with a badge.
So you can see here that I've imported the mesh file into my CAD software, and for starters what I need to do is I need to simplify it because it's far too detailed for what I need. So I've simplified the pattern here, and then I convert it to a surface and start actually being able to start designing my badge. I started by importing my logo, and the first iteration I wasn't happy with, but in the end I ended up with a badge that I can 3D print. And you can see if I remove that surface and flip it around, you can actually see that is the exact shape of the bonnet of the Frankenhauler, including all of the dimples.
All right, so the 3D printer is currently printing away. So hopefully in an hour or two, I'll have a nice new bonnet badge with a home-built logo to stick onto the front of the Frankenhauler that'll fit perfectly. Fingers crossed. The next thing I want to do is I want to work on making the Frankenhauler faster. And it has nothing to do with adding extra power. That I've already done. I've already added the turbo kit onto this, so it's going to have potentially adding a turbo onto these with some very basic tuning. You can get almost 100% power increase out of this old 1HZ engine, and that's what I'm hoping to do out of that. The big issue with these Toyota Coaster buses, and of course that is what the Frankenhauler is underneath, is that it has extremely low gearing. Basically, from what I gather, with the standard gearing in these, you're on the highway, you're sort of flat out at about 90 kilometers an hour. So really, really sort of revving it much past that, you're really ringing it to the moon, and it's not something you want to do. From what I can gather, the standard diff centers in the Toyota Coaster buses is a 5.3 to 1. Now, what I've managed to get through some aftermarket company, I was ringing around trying to find someone who could get me diff centers. I tried to find secondhand ones, and they were not existent. I managed to find this one, and I thought it was going to be secondhand, but when it turned up, it looks like it is actually a brand new, in the box, genuine Toyota diff, brand new. Now, they conveniently ripped the model number off of the side, so I don't know what the part number is. So, yeah, I can't sort of tell you guys, so you can sort of avoid the middleman. I'm sure that was their point. But, besides, I wrecked the box to put it in the car to bring it home. But it is a nice, brand spanking new diff center, which hopefully should mean that I should be able to do sort of 100, 110 on the freeway, which is a much more respectable speed. Our maximum speed limit is 110 anyway. Hopefully I can do almost traffic speed in this truck when it's done with this diff in it. So I thought, before we go too much further, while I don't have the tray and all the other bits and pieces on it, I can still get to the diff quite easily without sort of climbing underneath the truck. I thought it's a good time to replace that now. So let's get stuck into it and see if we can, first of all, get the current diff center out.
So first things first is to drain all the fluids. Remembering, same with a gearbox, open the fill hole first. Make sure you can get the fill hole open before you open the drain. Otherwise you end up with no oil and no way to fill it.
All right, that oil is amazingly clean. It's obviously been cleaned very recently, because if you have a look there, you can see the socket that I dropped into it straight through the oil. It is very clear. Even looking at that on the ground there, you can see how clean that all is. That is a very, very, very clean, healthy diff center. All right, so I've unbolted the center of the diff. Now I need to actually release the drive shafts out of either side. And I believe with this setup, I can actually do that without removing the wheels. I don't have to jack it up, don't have to do anything. I can just unbolt this center, unbolt the drive shaft, and hopefully just pull it out from either side, pull the diff center out, and I'm good. So let's try that.
So unbolting the pumpkin was relatively easy, but this is a little bit more challenging, and basically what I had to do was go around and loosen all of the nuts first, all the way out to the end of the thread so that I didn't damage the threads. And then you need to hit the ends with a hammer, because there are little sort of tapered cones behind each one of these nuts, and you need to release them before you can actually start getting the axle out. And these are so well made that once I had the nuts out, you actually put in a couple of, I think they were M8 bolts, and slowly tighten them up on either side. There are provisions for this, and it actually pushes the axle out, which is fantastic and really made life easy. And then it was just the same again on the other side before I actually jacked up the middle and sort of loosened up and lifted out the very, very heavy diff center.
All right, so I have the old diff out and the new diff sitting here right next to it, and I did a little bit of looking around once I pulled it out to see actually what I had in the bus originally. A lot of my research said that they had a 5.3 to 1 diff ratio, but I actually had a look at the stampings on the diff center that I pulled out, and it actually says 8/41. So meaning that the pinion has 8 teeth, the ring gear has 41 teeth. 41 divided by 8 is actually 5.1, 5.125. So that is a 5.125 ratio diff, and I actually had a look at what it reads on the new diff. It's got a different marking. Instead of having the number of teeth, this actually says 4.87, and I actually did some quick guesswork, and with a 8-tooth pinion, so still 8 teeth on the pinion, but instead of 41 teeth, this one's got 39 teeth. So 39 teeth, and that makes it at 4.875 diff ratio. So what does that mean? How does it make it all faster? So basically what it means is the tail shaft has to spin 5.125 times to make the rear wheel of the truck turn 1 revolution. Why this is faster is that if this turns the same amount as this one to make this wheel go once, so the 5.125 times, but this has the faster ratio, this would actually have turned 5% further around, so 105%. So by doing the calculations, I've probably only gained about 5 kilometres an hour at 100, but it's something. It would have been closer to 10 if this was a 5.3. So it's quite an expensive exercise in the end for 5 Ks an hour, but I'm there now. I can try and sell this diff because it seems like it's in quite good condition. So let's clean everything up and swap in the faster diff.
So putting the centre back in, I'm not using the original paper gasket. The diff didn't come with one, and I talked to my good mate Benny from Benny's Custom Works, who recommended the best stuff is this grey RTV sealant. So that's what I'm using, and I've just got a thin smear, just making sure I've got good coverage all the way around before I wrestle in the extremely heavy diff centre back into place and bolt it up nice and tight. I nip them all up with the Ugga Dugga, but I then go through and make sure that they're all tight by hand. Then once the centre is back in, then I can start putting the axles back in, and starting with the driver's side, and then coming back over to the passenger side. I cleaned up the face of these as well, because these have an oil seal, and I used the same grey sealant on these as well. I'm not worried about getting them off again, because as I mentioned, with that bolting method, it's going to pop it off quite easily, and it should be easily serviceable in the future. So the cones are back in and everything is back together, and then I make sure it's all nice and tight and cleaned up. And last thing to bolt up is the tail shaft, and just making sure that is all nice and secure. And last but certainly not least is to top it up with oil again. I am using Penrite 80W90 gear oil. That's going to top it up, and I think it takes 2.6 litres in theory, but obviously you just fill it up until it starts coming out of the fill hole, and that should be good.
All right, so yesterday I did the scan of the bonnet of the Frankenhauler, and last night I was doing a bunch of CAD and did a couple of iterations of my badge. Printed it out, and this is what I came up with. So I have got my Frankenhauler badge, says Frankenhauler across the top, got my logo, it's a raised outer section, and this back side is a perfect representation, even with the sort of the lumps where there's the little dents in here, and this, it just locks in. There is, you can just see a little bit of the hole from the bonnet on either side, but I really don't think that's a big deal. And that fits perfectly on the bonnet there. Like, I'm trying to wiggle it around, and it just locks in just from that. I do have a couple of spots where I can put some screws in from behind and mount this on. Let's do that and just have a look at the finished badge. All right, and there it is. Now, it's a little bit chunky, a little bit square. I think I need to refine the design, but look at how well it fits to the front of the truck. That fits perfectly all the way around because it is molded to the truck, and that is the beauty of the scanner. So, yeah, I'll reiterate again, go and have a look at the Revopoint scanner in the description. Thank you again to those guys. All right, let's move back to the back of the truck. All right, well, diff is mounted. I'm happy with that. Hopefully now we have a faster Frankenhauler. Not by much, but yeah, it would have been nice if it was actually like the sort of the 10k increase. I was thinking from a 5.3 to a 4.8, not a 5.1 to a 4.8, which is only 5 kilometers an hour. But I'll take what I can get. Moving on. Last week I started installing the winch, and I had a little go at it, but I can only get it to go in one direction. It wasn't playing around nicely. So I want to see if I can have a quick look and see if we can get this working properly so we can feed it in and out and get it ready to be able to slide the tray on and off of the truck.
So like before, I connected it up to my 12 volt jump start pack, and I'm using my power probe to try and see if it's actually sending power through to the winch or not, and see what's actually happening.
Okay. All right, so I worked out that the winch just doesn't like 12 volts. It's a 24 volt winch, and I've been actually using the hydraulic pump, using it with 12 volts, just because I've got the 12 volt jump starter pack. I haven't wanted to try and drain the truck batteries, but I just gave it the winch a try with the full 24 volts. No dramas, works both directions. So yes, I know that works. So let's leave that for now and move on to something else. All right, so this is mostly ready to go now. The tilt part of the frame, very happy with it. The next thing I need to do is I need to connect up this. So what this is it's plastic boat slide. So this is for boat trailers. It's extremely hard wearing and very slippery. So the metal will slip over it very easily, and it'll last ages. It's really cheap, so it's easy to replace when it does wear down. It has a, you can sort of see the profile. This is the top, and there's a groove in it so I can recess rivets in it. So I'm going to roll this out and rivet it to the top of my rails here, and the whole bed will slide on and off this like butter. So let's start laying it out and drilling and riveting it all onto the frame.
So I drill out and rivet on the first end of this boat slide plastic, and then sort of start unraveling it and measuring as I go, trying to keep a nice even spacing from all my rivets. Now I did actually buy 9 meters of this stuff, and before I unraveled it all, I did measure it properly. I just wanted to lay it out and make sure I had plenty for both sides before I went too far. And as you can see here, I'm going through and I'm measuring and drilling at currently about 600 centers. I want to eventually do it at 300 centers, but I'm just using the rivets I had at hand, and I don't want to actually have to stop and go out and buy some more. So 600 centers for now, and I'll go back and re-drill them later. Now this stuff was rolled up, so I had to sort of tape it on at either end to try and get it to play nicely with me. Once it's lying flat, it's pretty easy to actually go through and measure and drill, but until that time it keeps wanting to curl up. And this stuff is really cool because it comes in a whole heap of different colors. So it's available in sort of blue, red, and all these sort of things, and I really didn't want to be able to see it. I wanted it to disappear, so black was perfect, and this will sort of disappear, and obviously will only ever be seen when the tray is completely off the back of the truck. And then I just do the final trim to length.
All right, so I've got to get some more rivets. So I've only got rivets sort of every 600. I want them really every 300 along here just to keep it nice. I have noticed that the bit in the sun down the far end, this is already expanding in the sun and is sort of getting wavy, but you can easily just push it down. As you can see here, I can easily push it down. So with weight on it, it's fine, but it just, it's obviously expanding in the heat. Not too worried about that. But like I said, this is designed for boat trailers to slide boats on and off. It's very slippery, as you can see with a piece of angle on here. And that slips and slides very, very smoothly and easily, which is exactly what I want, because that is how the bed, the tray, is going to be brought on and off of this this frame. So before I go any further, I want to start doing some of the triangulation stuff that I mentioned I was going to do on this frame, and that means making up a couple of cool looking plates. I'm going to do some plates in here. I'm going to gusset in the corners up near the winch, particularly to sort of reinforce this corner here. I just wanted to get the winch in place first so I know the space I have to work with. So let's start getting all of that stuff designed up and cut out and welded in.
So it's back into CAD to design these triangulation plates, if you want to call them that. And because these are going to be seen, particularly when the tilting tray is up in the air and the car bed is actually off the back, I really wanted to be able to do something that you could see and look good. So I included my logo in that, and you can see here getting cut out on the plasma table. Again, including a bunch of hexagons to save weight and also because it looks good. Then using the air hammer again, knocking the dross off that the plasma table leaves, and then just a quick tidy up with the flap disc to make sure it's all nice and neat and tidy. And that's 2 plates down, and then it's back over and I'm cutting out 4 of these triangles. Now, they're not huge, but they're still going to add quite a bit of strength to the corners of the tray, and just utilizing as much scrap as I can to make the smaller parts. So once everything's tidied up, then it's a matter of mounting them into place, cleaning up obviously before I can weld, and trying to get everything sitting nice and flat and even so that I can tack on these plates and then weld them solid. Now I had to make sure I left enough room to be able to get the pin in and out for the top of the ram, which you can get them out from underneath this, no problems at all. And then again on the other side, just using magnets underneath to hold the height nice and level, and making sure it's all nice and even and square before welding it in solid. Now with these gussets up the front, I could not put them at the top and bottom corners, particularly not on the top corner, because the tray is going to be sliding up there, so I can't actually do that. But these are going to add quite a lot of strength, just these ones. If it bothers me, I might add a second set lower as well.
All right, so I have these 2 in. They're looking quite good. That is going to really stiffen up the torsional rigidity there. And I've tied in both corners down here as well, so we actually have nicely triangulated in at the front. So before we go, I'm just going to come down to where the hinge mounts are, and I'm going to put a couple more of these braces down here to triangulate down the bottom as well. Let's do that.
So same again, adding a little bit of triangulation and a little bit of nice details to this tilting frame. Now, I am not imagining this is going to have very much sideways movement pretty much ever. I'm only ever going to try and load and unload cars on a reasonably flat level surface, as flat and as level as I can get. So it's almost overkill to do this, but better to be safe than sorry. And this is where I realized what that little adjustment knob on the side of my ram does. That actually just releases the ram, because when I was pumping it up, it would just go down by itself. So I realized, I just had to lock that off, and I'll have to find another way to make it go down. But you can see here, I went through and masked everything up and then gave everything a coat of black just so it all matches in. And once I worked it out, you can see the tray actually stays up by itself.
All right, that is looking good. Now, originally I did want to have a really big home-built logo, but my plasma table doesn't actually cut out big enough. That is actually still pretty good. You can actually get a good look at my logo while it's up there, and it braces up that sort of area, gives it some triangulation in the corners there, a little bit down here on the hinges as well, just to give it a little bit more structure. It's very rigid as it is, but that will just give it that little bit extra. All right, well, I am very happy with this. I need to get myself some more rivets to rivet down these sides, and now we have some bracing and stuff. A lot of that CAD stuff is very time-consuming. It's obviously a lot quicker still to use the plasma table than it is to cut it all out by hand. I'm happy now. This is sort of nicely all reinforced and basically ready for next episode on the Frankenhauler to start doing the sliding bed. The badge on the bonnet, I'll do a little bit more work on that. It's still a little bit chunky for me. I want to taper it and make it a little bit more delicate. But that's something that's the beauty of being able to do this stuff in CAD is I can just sort of, when I've got some spare time while I'm just sitting down on the couch, I can just sit there on the laptop and just adjust and do some designing and make something and then just hit print and print it out on the 3D printer. So, all right, well, that is it for another week. But I think that means it's time for Fun Facts with Mrs. Jeff.
Hey guys, in 1963, Ford began its journey to enter Le Mans and to beat Ferrari. They started with 2 Lola Mark 6s, working out of the Lola factory in Bromley, England. By the end of 1963, they moved to Slough, just outside of Heathrow in England, of course, and they established Ford Advanced Vehicles. The first chassis of Ford's new race car was built by Abbey Panels in Coventry. It was delivered on the 16th of March 1964. The fiberglass body was produced by Fiberglass Engineering Limited of Farnham. The first Ford GT101, was unveiled on the 1st of April and it was exhibited in New York. It had a sticker price of £5,200. The GT40 was first raced in May 1964 at the Nürburgring 1,000 kilometres, where it was retired due to suspension failure. 3 weeks later, it competed at Le Mans, but all 3 entries retired. After a season of failures, the team manager, John Wire, was fired and the whole program was handed over to Carroll Shelby.
All right, well, I am very happy with the progress. Basically, we're pretty much ready to roll on the tilting frame now. So next episode on the Frankenhauler is going to be on the slidey bit. So I look forward to that.
And that is the technical term.
The slidey bit.
Slidey bit.
And this is actually the anniversary. This is the 10th year on YouTube. I've just clicked over 10 years on YouTube. I never actually thought I'd be doing this to this extent. I just thought I'd just post up some silly little videos and sort of go along with the build of my 911 to put on a car forums. And now I'm spending most of my time filming videos as a hermit in the shed. Yeah. But I'm loving every minute of it. And thank you very much for all of you for watching and keeping us going on this crazy ride.
Thank you. Yeah, I totally remember when you started because I would check the video to see if anyone watched it, and it was exciting to see that there were a couple of people watching.
Yeah, it's like the first videos posted up and 50 people I don't know had seen the video I posted.
It was really
amazing. So
yeah, it was. Yeah.
Next week, I am going to get back onto our Ferrari. We've got a few things to do, and maybe somebody needs to drive it.
I do, because I still haven't driven it. It's been like months and months and months.
Yes. I've still been trying to get it ready for your high standards.
I was going to say for my skill level, which is that's not a joke. Highly skilled driver. Right. So,
okay.
Right. Subscribe and of course like, as I always say. And let Jeff know what you think, because he likes to read your comments. And Patreon, day early, no ads, help him out.
All right, guys.
Thank you, guys.
See ya.
They started with 2 Lola Mark 6s, working out of the Bromley factory No. They started with 2 Mark 6, no, in England, of course, and they established New York with a sticker price of £5,200.
Yes.
Can we do it again?
5,200. You don't say 5,200. Nobody says that.
£5,200. Is that how we say it?
Yes. Why is it so
I don't know.
hard?
It's just like really hot in here. The first Ford GT 101 was
Don't say Ford GT. It's a Ford GT.
the first Ford GT. The GT40 was first raced in. The GT40 was first raced. The GT40 was first raced in May 1964 at the Nürburgring. Is that okay? Nürburgring. Okay. The GT40 was first raced in. The GT40 was first raced in May 1964. After a season of failures, the team manager, John Wire, was fired and the whole program was handed over to Carol Shipley.
No, Shelby. Shepley. Who's Carol Shepley?
BP, it's all good. No,
He's very, very well known.
I know that. It was a mistake.